Autofanatic here. I'm going to do a little bit of a review and discussion on the new Rupes LK900E Mille, which is a direct drive random orbital machine that I got not that long ago. As soon as this was released, I picked it up. And in the discussion, I have behind it my original Flex 3401. I feel doing a discussion on the Mille 900 without discussing the 3401 really wouldn't be fair to you guys that are interested or shopping for this type of a product to do your paint correction or whatever you guys are working on, because I use these machines completely different than most auto detailers, because most of my work for my other business is solid surface refinishing on metal, polyester finishes, lacquer finishes. It's not automotive. They're very, very large pieces, and there are certain requirements that I like in a machine, vice versa, that I don't like in other machines. And that's why a true dual action machine where you put the pressure and it stalls is not really going to work for my business and my applications. The 3401, it's a workhorse. I love the machine, but there are a lot of things about it that I wish were better as a user, that someone that uses it for hours upon hours, depending on certain projects I use. And I'm going to discuss a little bit about that today and really explain why this machine here is not necessarily a replacement for the 3401, but I think it's a great addition to your machine arsenal. All right, guys, we're back. So here's my 3401, and I'm going to just discuss a couple of things about the design that I feel really could be better. But you have to understand something. When this machine came out, this was the only machine on the market that was a force-driven random orbital type polishing machine. So, back in the days, the dual actions became really popular with a lot of DIY guys and enthusiasts because conventional polishing and surface finishing was always done with a rotary, high-speed rotary. You needed to know what you were doing. And, that whole stigma of oh, if you don't know what you're doing, you're going to burn through the paint. Yeah, that's correct. And that's why the dual action market today in 2018 is so popular, because the enthusiast could pick up a machine, he could do some gentle paint correction, keep up with his cars. It just has taken the auto detailing market, professional market, and the enthusiast market to an entirely new level with the advancements in pads, the micro abrasives and the compounds, and of course the equipment. I mean, things have come a long way from when Porter Cable introduced their DA and griots, way back. Those things were total junk in my opinion. But now we have some really awesome machines. Like I have the Griot's Boss G15. That's a true dual action machine. I love it. I love the ergonomics, the shape, the power. That's a great machine, but it's not a machine that I'm going to use all the time. So that is only for specific jobs. And that's what I'm trying to explain to you in this video here, is that, depending on what you're doing with your life, if you're a professional detailer, if you're a hobbyist, it really depends what you're looking for. But the purpose of the 3401, when it was introduced, is this was pretty much marketed as you could do severe paint correction without damaging your paint, okay? Because of the random orbit of the pad keeps everything cooler. This operates at a much, much lower RPM than a conventional professional rotary machine. I mean, this one at speed 6 goes up to 480. So it's really not much. And then the Rupes goes up a little bit higher, but those, it just shows you how on my other rotary professional machines, I could go up to 3,600 RPM. And in the hands of the wrong person, you're going to destroy your finish real fast. So, like I said, this machine was great because I do a lot of black surfaces. I've always owned black cars. I do a lot of big panels for my other business. And, I can master a black finish, whether it's a single stage, a lacquer, a gel coat, depending on what it is, with the rotary machine. But you have to be really careful. You have to have a lot of finesse. And sometimes when you're doing production stuff, you have to just speed up the process. And I adapted this machine to a lot of those processes, including metal refinishing, because it actually gives the most outstanding final finish that I've ever used. So the Flex 3401 is an 8mm orbit, and the Rupes 900 is a 5mm. That 3mm difference, I'm going to tell you now, from using this machine for well over 10 years and using this machine for well over a month, it is a substantial difference. And I'm going to explain a couple of those key criteria here, and it's a couple of things you need to consider. So guys, like I was saying, the Flex Tool brand their bread and butter and what they do is not necessarily 100% automotive as far as auto detailing goes. They really specialize in solid surface refinishing, grinding, and sanding. And that's just, you know, the nature of what their company core values are. I own a lot of flex tools. I own all of their rotary tools. I own the 3401. I have 3 of these. I have their pipe sanders, their pipe polishers, everything in between. I mean, they're a good brand. They stand by their product. The stuff lasts in the field. And, you know, it just really is. But like I said, there's a couple of things about this tool that I really wish were made better. And that's, you know, from the moment I took ownership of one of these, I was like, you know what? The body of the tool is not the most ergonomically shaped. I don't really like where the speed adjustment is. And it just doesn't feel that nice. It's actually rather small. And it's very, very, there's not a lot of tension on it. It does have a lock trigger, but like I said, it's one of those things where I'm going to show you when I show you the 900 that the body of this tool really needs to be redesigned. There's no rubber, so when you rest the tool, you see all the scratches? That's because there's no rubber encasement on the body of the tool. So you're constantly having it up like that, and it's getting scratched all over the body. The handle, see, I don't really love this in design. This should be encapsulated in rubber. I like the size of it, but I don't like the rocky motion of it. And it's something that over time it just seems to have gotten worse. Now, the drive mechanism is encased in this cast aluminum housing right here. And there's no rubber, there's no plastic, there's nothing. So when you're running this machine like I run it for several hours, when I'm doing, let's say I'm polishing a 12-foot table, or I'm polishing 100 feet of stainless steel, this tool gets so hot that if you don't wear thick leather gloves and you come in contact with here, it's going to take the skin right off your hand immediately. That's just from experience, and you just have to know the tool. It generates a hell of a lot of heat when you're using it for hour upon hour like I do, and the ventilation of extracting the heat could be better by design. I mean, you have these 2 little vents on the left and right side of the motor mechanism, but to be honest with you, it really could be better. And as far as backing plates go, most of my pads are 6-inch and 6.5 that I use on this machine. And when you're using this for auto detailing, it's outstanding. It's phenomenal. When you're going panel to panel, let's say you're using this machine anywhere between 3 to 5 minutes per panel, the user fatigue is not that bad. But when you're using it for 45 minutes, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours in a day, the vibration that comes through into my hands and my wrist, I actually get numb all throughout my forearm when I'm using this machine. So it's one of those things where you take the good with the bad. You got to get the job done. You need tools that work, and this tool has served me well for a hell of a long time, and I'm not going to replace it. I'm going to keep it. But now with the introduction of the new Rupes machine, I'm going to try to adapt a little bit more processes to that, because that is much more user-friendly, better ergonomics. There's just a lot of things that I like about it. So let me just get the Rupes machine here. And the first thing you're going to notice is the actual sheer presence of the 2 machines. Okay, you see how much smaller in packaging the Flex machine is? Now, the Mille BigFoot seems to have the same body and the same shape as their 15 and 21 dual actions, which is fine. But, you know, they have nice rubber encasements built in here and into the front grip, which I like. Okay, and I have to say, the thumb adjustment for the speed is probably the best out of every tool that I own. It's coated in like a soft rubber, super smooth. You could actually feel it has like positive stops as you go out through the range. It's got probably the best soft start trigger on the market with, you know, the ergonomic rubber grip. Trigger lock, of course, but it's just the overall shape. It's the shape of the body, it's the shape of the machine that, for someone that's going to be using a machine for prolonged periods of time, this ergonomic is a better design for automotive, okay, and also for industrial. I just like the shape of it better. It feels better in the hand, and also being that this is a 5mm machine, a hell of a lot less vibration, easier to control your you know, your liquid compounds on the surface without getting spatter and everything in between. So the other thing I want to show you guys, let me move the camera, is from this angle here, you guys can see what I'm going to talk about, is look at the distance between the machine on the 3401 to the actual surface. It's very low. And I'm going to throw a clip that I shot earlier where I basically are going to explain how if you're not careful with the 3401, the back tail of the machine could rock and you could actually mar and damage and hit the paint of a car you're working on if you're not careful, because this machine at high RPM on certain irregular surfaces, if you're not very careful and you don't have experience, the machine's going to go out of control and you're going to have a hard time controlling it. Now, you know what I'm talking about here. As you're going down the panel, boom, then you can hit the panel with this part. I just don't like the shape of it. Don't really love the feel of it. Just ergonomically, Flex, you guys need to really do an update on this. So let's get back to the video and continue going on here. Look at the difference in the size between the distance of where you're holding the machine and where the pad's going to be placed. It's significant. It's almost double the size. And I'll grab a ruler real quick. And we're just going to try to see. So the 3401, between the surface where the pad would attach and the handle, let's say realistically I'm going to split the handle in half. Let's say we're at 3 1/4. Now this machine, the Mille 900, we're at 4 7/8 to 5 inches. Okay, so that's a big difference. I feel it gives more flexibility, more maneuverability, and just much more control. Also, the longer body of this machine, even though the Flex is more compact, you would think it's easier to control. That's not necessarily true with power tools. The longer the body, the better weight in the design, and the more ergonomic that you could grab onto it, the user has much more control over this machine versus the smaller machine with a lot of torque, and you know, pretty much that's just how it is. I'm going to plug both machines in right now. I'm going to show you just some sound bites. I'm not going to edit the video, so what you hear is what you're going to get out of the stereo microphone in my camera. Let's start out at speed 1, and we're going to have no load on it. It would help if I turned the power on. So let's try speed 1 on the 3401. You know, it's really not bad at all. It's really not bad at all. So let's increase that. Now, both of these machines have a soft trigger start, which is ideal when you're working with these machines, because of the oscillating motion could, you know, if you don't get the compounds on your pads properly, it's going to spatter all over the place. But the vibration that this 3401 puts out is very, very fatiguing. And like I said, I've been using it ever since it came out because there hasn't been anything on the market in this category up until now. So let's plug in the Rupes. Okay, start at speed 1. So I hope the audio could pick that up. I started at speed 1, went all the way up to 6. This tool is much louder. It doesn't sound as refined in the mechanism as the Flex 3401. Now, my Flex 3401 is over 10 years old, and I have probably hundreds and hundreds of hours on it, maybe more. And I put this thing through its paces. I overload this thing constantly. Now, this machine has practically zero vibration from speed 1 all the way to speed 6. There's no vibration coming through the handle, through the trigger, anywhere on the body of the machine. That's why I really, really like this machine now that I've been using it. When you buy this machine, it's going to give you the 5-inch and the 6-inch backing plate. And this connects, instead of having a central screw, it has screws around the perimeter along with vent holes. Whereas the Flex has a solid hook loop backing plate with no vent holes. So that's just another clever design. And like I said, Rupes, like, their main business is automotive. So it's obvious that the engineers and designers, you know, they did their homework. They developed a tool that is ergonomically shaped, it feels good in the hands, and it does the job. I would have preferred a little bit of a larger grip in the front, similar to the Griot's Boss G15. I just like that. This seems a little small for my taste. The drive mechanism is plastic, it's not metal, so you're not going to burn yourself with that. They keep the metal components encased in this plastic, and it has some rubber here, you know, a little bit in case you bang into something, but I'm just going to show you here. This is going to be some of the stuff that I play around with, and you know, this may or may not apply to you, but I just want to show it to you anyway. So on the row on the right, these are some abrasive discs. So what I do when I do solid surface refinishing, I start out at 400 and I go up to like 2000, and as you can see, these are foam Trizac 3M Trizac pads, and what I do is on the regular abrasive disc, I use a Velcro interference pad, and I attach this over like that. I strap it on my 3401, or now the new Mille 900, and then I go and I go through my process of abrasive grits from 400 all the way up, and then we get up to you know, usually 3000, which is right here, you know, with the proper cutting agents and everything in between, and then we do a final cut, usually with a thin microfiber pad. And you know, over here we have, you know, a microfiber pad with some dense foam. We have the Griot's Garage Boss pads. Now, Rupes wants you to only use their pads and their compounds, but I'll be honest with you, you don't have to. I've been playing around with this stuff for a while. You just have to really get used to the machine, your process, and what you guys are doing. I don't really like the Rupes pads or the compounds. I just think there's stuff on the market that works a little bit better. I think the Boss, you know, Best of Show system, that's a great system for you guys to start out with. I still use the 3M Perfected system, which is the 3 steps of different polishes. I use the Norton single step. I use the Sonex Perfect Finish. So there's a lot of different things I do, and then I also have a number of compounds that are just for metal, whether it's stainless steel, aluminum, bronze, brass, and copper. So just wanted to show you, this is a little bit about what we do, you know, with my business, not just automotive, but you could overlap everything because the concept is all the same. When you're refinishing a surface, you're using the rotation of the machine, the heat generated between the pad or the abrasive disc and your cutting agent to constantly refine the scratch pattern. That's the goal of paint correcting, that's the goal of metal polishing, and that's just the way it goes across the board. So once you understand that principle, you understand the technique, your travel speed, your RPM, everything pretty much can be overlapped into various different things, and that's what I do with my life, and I've always have. So it's really cool how I'm using these force rotation, dual action type machines to do things that I tell you right now, I don't know any auto detailers that are going to be putting 400 grit on their Rupes Mille 900 and start polishing out like a stainless steel table or wall panels or anything like that, but that's the way I'm using it. So since I've been using the Mille 900, a couple of things that I've noticed and that I want to comment about is user fatigue is more than 50% reduced with this machine. Vibration is more than 50% reduced with this machine. Now, one machine has an 8mm throw, the other one has the 5mm throw. Now, the finer and the smaller the rotational throw on a machine, the finer finish you're going to get on your panel, whether it's paint, whether it's a lacquered table, whether it's a piece of metal. That's just the way it goes. So this is really cool now that I have a machine that has a lower rotation, less vibration, less user fatigue than my classic 3401. So this is really cool because you know, when I jump to the 3401, I usually know they're hard to do projects and this thing just knocks them out with ease. But then now I have this machine that I could use, and I could go between the two machines to really get an incredible finish. So since I've been using this, I probably have about 60 hours on it so far, and it works well. It hasn't overheated on me, haven't bogged it down. I'm using various pads from various different manufacturers, and I've done some really cool stuff with it. And I like it. I'm actually glad that I spent the money and I bought it. And I'm actually glad that someone jumped up to the market and came out with a machine that's going to compare to the 3401. Now, my final thoughts on all of this machine does not replace this machine. They're two completely different machines altogether. Yes, their goal is to do the same job, but they do them significantly different, okay? The 3401 is much more aggressive, much more user fatiguing, a little bit harder to control. Ergonomically, it's not the best. This machine, the Rupes BigFoot Mille 900, is far better ergonomically designed, a little bit noisier on the drive mechanism, and that's one thing that the Germans seem to get. They know how to make really good drive mechanism, whether it's Flex Tools, whether it's Fine, Festool, Eisenblatten. These are brands that I have other pieces of equipment that I know I stick with these things because they work, they're smooth. And when you're in an environment where you're using this stuff for hours, you don't want to have that chattery sound. It sounds like there's just too much backlash in the mechanism between the teeth and the gears and the way they're cut. I feel the mechanism could have been better. I feel the noise should have been reduced, especially at this price point. And I think in the future, you know, there's going to be brushless technology and more technology that's going to make these tools lighter, more compact, more ergonomically friendly, and whisper quiet. And that's going to be an amazing thing. And I just hope that, you know, we see that, you know, in the next 3 to 5 years, and definitely not in the next 10 to 20 years, because I'm going to be, you know, not really be interested in knowing it by then. But I hope that these tools just constantly keep progressing. They keep getting better. You know, they keep listening to customers' demands. And, you know, once that happens, I think this is going to be a really, really good time for anybody that's going to get involved in auto detailing or surface correcting, regardless of what you're doing. So hope you guys like this quick intro video. I am going to have some more videos on my channel in the future of using this machine on cars and also non-automotive related products. So if you want to see how I use it, you know, stay tuned. Please like, subscribe, and share. And if you guys have this machine, let me know how you like it so far. Let me know a little bit about what you're doing. Are you working on new cars? Are you working on vintage cars? You know, how much experience do you have with this machine, and why did you buy it? And what are you using it for? That's what I want to know. My 3401 has been my go-to choice for years. I actually do color sanding with this machine on cars, on clear coats, on various different finishes. This machine has the torque, and with the right pads and the right compounds, you could actually color sand, you know, 1,000 sanding scratches all the way up to 3,000, get them out and have a perfect finish with one machine, so you don't have to bust out the rotary. This machine does take a little bit longer, but to be honest with you, think about this. This is very important as a user. Would you rather have more user fatigue, more vibration, more heat to get the job done maybe 15 to 20% quicker? Or would you rather take your time, slow down your arm and travel speed, have less user fatigue, have no vibration, have no worries of, you know, burning yourself over here, and still do an outstanding, you know, result? So either or, I think having both of these machines makes a lot of sense for me. It may not make a lot of sense for you. So if you guys are in the market for a force rotation dual action type machine like these guys here, you know, I've always recommended a 3401 up until this machine came out. So they're about $400 and something each. I think you can't go wrong. I think if you're going to just jump into this and you want to get one machine out of the box, this is going to be a better machine for you guys to, I think, to learn on. And I know for a fact, because I've been, you know, using this forever. And I just think there's some design issues with the 3401 that in 2018 it would be nice if Flex stepped up to the plate and redesigned it. But like I said, it's not their bread and butter. They have other things going on with their company on the industrial and solid surface refinishing that they focus more of their attention on. So like I said, hope you guys like this video on the Flex 3401 and the Rupes Mille 900. They're both in the same category. They're both outstanding machines. They both do everything well, but they do things differently. So for me, this is an awesome machine, and this is a powerhouse. So if you guys have any questions or comments, feel free to drop me a line direct, autofanatic@yahoo.com. Love to chat with you more about this stuff. And stay tuned. You're going to see some more videos in the future of me using this machine and putting it through the test. And over time, like I said, I've got a hell of a lot of hours on it already, and I don't really have any complaints with it, except that I would like maybe the front of this to be a little bit larger. But other than that, I think it's properly designed, has the best trigger, the best ergonomic shape, the best speed control dial. I mean, it's just everything about it is just home run, man. So props out to Rupes, especially the guys at Rupes America, for bringing this tool to market, especially for the U.S. market. It's outstanding. It's going to be a total game changer for some of you guys that are dealing with severe paint defects, and you're doing certain types of applications with the harder clear coats and everything in between. So see you guys soon. autofanatic@yahoo.com. Take care.